It's a unique ability. He was born with a sense of balance. He never lost it in all his life.
You couldn't get excited. No engine, no engine.
By the early 80s, Ratan Tata had spent nearly 2 decades at the Tata Group, with little to show than a famous surname. At the age of 44, he was handed charge of Tata Industries, a shell company with no actual power. While he was dealing with this corporate indignation, he was also dealt with a personal blow. His mother was diagnosed with cancer.
It was a very difficult time for him because he was very devoted to his mother, and he actually went and spent months in New York with her in the hospital. His mind would have been, pulling in different directions, that he had his mother to be with, and at the same time not to lose complete track of what was going on here.
At times, our worlds appear to collapse. Most of us crumble under this pressure. But some, like Ratan Tata, choose this time to envision a better tomorrow.
I had a lot of time in the hospital when my mother was ill, so I used that time to write out a strategic plan for Tata's. There was also a sense that we were not doing as much as we could in Tata's, and that we were looking at smokestack industries and not the new emerging industries, electronics, medicine, things of this nature.
I think when anyone is under tremendous personal stress, like he was seeing his mother die, there are not many distractions that work as well as work. And so he put his energy into caring for my mother on the one hand and working on this strategic plan.
Which amusingly was rejected by the Tata Sons board.
A large part of that plan was really devoted to the need to restructure the existing group entities, which were not only large in number, but as I said, were overlapping in their activities. And that is where the reluctance on the part of existing companies or companies to give up their identity and merge with other companies had to be faced. But he is a person, once he believed that it was the right thing to do, he would always push ahead with it.
This conviction to follow through with his beliefs may have impressed JRD Tata, who picked Ratan Tata as the next chairman, a decision that left several board members unimpressed.
So he's group chairman now.
What does he have to show for it? Sunken companies?
And this obsession with technology and impractical ideas.
He's too much of a disruption, rocking a steady ship.
I hope Jay knows what he's doing.
So JRD Tata was a very astute judge of people. I'm sure JRD must have been very impressed by the insight and the ability of the man to come to battle with fundamentals in a business.
I would say at work he was more like my father than my father actually was, in terms of giving advice, sparing the time to take your frustrations away or whatever.
I think he sees Jay as a critical mentor in his life. When people were told you have big boots to fill, he said, no, I can't fill those boots, but I will fill my own boots.
The ambitious strategic plan that Ratan Tata had envisioned for the company required a change in Indian economic policies, for which he would join forces with the country's progressive new Prime Minister.
Rajiv Gandhi became the Prime Minister. His vision of what he thought India should be was exactly what this plan was talking about. And I provided him with examples of what we could do. So a closeness developed.
In 1991, just as Ratan Tata became chairman of the Tata Group, Rajiv Gandhi was unfortunately assassinated. Dreams of a new India could have collapsed, but for Gandhi's successors.
There was a sense of pervading crisis. India was unsure, shaken, uncertain, and what the Narasimha Rao Manmohan Singh combination did was to very quickly tackle the economic roots of the problem through liberalization, through tackling the essential issue of encouraging enterprise and permitting companies to be able to set up without having to go through the license Raj regulation that had been reining them in. And there was no doubt that few people understood as it was happening how far it would go and how revolutionary its impact would be.
There was an industrial freedom that emerged, which was what gave me tremendous exhilaration in those years. It was probably the most exciting years of my career.
While he led one of India's largest conglomerates, he realized that the success of the group lay in consolidation. So the Tata Group was given a single brand identity by its fifth chairman, Ratan Tata.
The image that the companies had were different. Tomco was a diamond, something else was a circle. The fonts were different, and they didn't look like they belonged to the same group. So yes, we did unify the brand, or the depiction of the brand.
With the group's rebranding initiative underway and the liberalization of India's markets, came a revolutionary move by Ratan Tata. He would use Tata Motors, then the leading commercial vehicle manufacturers of India, to give birth to India's first indigenous passenger car.
Even the name Indica was there because it was the Indian car. At that time, I went to CII, who were making components for vehicles, and said, can we produce an Indian car altogether? There was nobody that wanted to join hands, thinking that it wouldn't happen. You're a truck company, why should you be looking at cars?
Within a decade, Tata Motors would roll out their 1 millionth passenger car using the Indica platform. And the Indica became the first Indian car to be sold in the United Kingdom as the City Rover.
I think that caused the whole car industry to be created in India, which now produces over 3 million cars.
Given Ratan Tata's love for cars, Tata Motors soon became his favorite means to innovate. His strategic plan had borne fruit. The visionary had won. It was the giver's turn.
Where you saw a family on a scooter, the father driving the scooter, little kid standing in front, the wife behind holding a baby. And the first thought was, what happens if they skid and fall off? And then actually, that's exactly what happened. That led to sort of sitting and doodling. How could you make a scooter safer? Could you add small wheels like children have tricycles to stop something from skidding? Could you build a frame around it? The first thoughts on that was a car without doors, with plastic curtains. First a three-wheel car was the concept. Soon that concept became, you couldn't have a half car. People would not want to be sitting in something that was open. So the ideas kept coming in on how to make a car affordable.
Making mobility accessible to Indians who otherwise would have been apprehensive about even thinking about the idea. I think that was a revolutionary idea.
Then the newspaper person in Geneva kept asking me about at what price the car would be sold, and I said we were looking at 1 lakh rupees as the goal. And eventually we launched the car at that price. We got the cost below 1 lakh.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we will present what a young group of engineers and designers gave the new car from Tata Motors, the people's car that everyone has been waiting for.
The mistake we made was to talk of the Nano being the country's cheapest car. And that it led not to the empowerment, but to a question of shame that I can't afford a more expensive car. So the cheapest car became bottom of the pile, and one forgot what it was meant to do.
Perhaps there have been misses there, but I think he's more big picture. I think he's more, what can we do to change India? What can we do to change the lives of people? I think he's much more of an emotional business leader. He reacts to how he feels. He reacts to what he's passionate about.
Contingency plan in place. But there are some situations nobody can anticipate, not even Ratan Tata. In 2008, the Tata Group's most prominent hotel, the Taj Mahal Palace in Mumbai, would suffer a deadly terrorist attack, one that would leave the nation and Ratan Tata hurting.
Somebody called me and said there had been shooting at the Taj. I called up the exchange Taj and there was no reply, which was very strange. So I got in my car and came here, and the watchman stopped me from going into the lobby because there was shooting.
Ratan Tata telephoned me and told me that he had got some information that there was some problem in the Taj, where there's a shootout and so on. Very unusual for a place like this.
At a time like that, we had about 300 guests in the hotel.